people's attention in the strength world for a long time now, and for good reason. But how exactly did he manage to get such a strong foothold, arm hold, on the arm wrestling scene, and what are the ups and downs in his career? I am the Arm Historian, and today I'll be your tour guide as we take a look at the rise and fall of Denis Iplenkov. Is John Brzenk also the left-handed greatest of all time? It's nearly universally accepted in the arm wrestling world that John Brzenk is the greatest of all time, but is that also the case for his left arm? John has accrued over 500 title wins in high-level tournaments in a career that spanned almost 40 years. About 20% of those titles, so 100 of them, were on the left arm. In terms of sheer numbers, it's safe to say nobody really comes close to John. However, in a survey, only 7% of people thought John was the left-handed GOAT, with a sizable number of people voting for Travis Bagent, and over half of respondents claiming the Russian juggernaut Denis Iplenkov is the true left-arm greatest of all time. Which of course begs the question, Hey, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you might be. Hope you're having a wonderful Sunday. How you all doing out there in arm wrestling land? Let's use in chat, shall we? This is the Arm Historian Live, like always, every Sunday, same time, same place. Yo, what's up, Chuck? How you doing? The Pierian Spring says, trust me, bro, I got this. Welcome to his move. What's up, man? Muscle Bike, evening all. Kindly hit like on your way in. Yeah, good reminder, Muscle Bike. Hit the like button if you can, guys. Helps the stream out. Tall Paul, what's up, man? Says, it's Sunday with the Arm Historian and the fellow historian, Maniacs. What you gonna do in the Arm and Historian and Maniacs? Run wild on your brother. That's right, Tall Paul. Hey, Woody, what's up, man? Welcome. Good to see you. Murgog juice time. Let's juice it up. Not even half as juicy as a night with the Boob Historian, of course. Hey, Atlantis, what's up, my man? Says, I'm here, team. Hello. And out delivering, still here though. Awesome. Hope your deliveries go smoothly, Atlantis, as always. And hope you're doing well, other than that. Hey, Dan John, welcome. What's up, man? Muscle Bike. Thanks again for sending the reminder at the start of the stream. We have a arm wrestling subreddit celebrity here, and also kind of a YouTube celebrity in a way. Martino. Also an East versus West celebrity, right? Celebrity of all kinds. Martino Donny Arm Wrestling in the chat says, sadly, there's a lot of it. Probably referring to the bro science I mentioned in the title. Hey, White Wolf says, hi, Arm Historian. Happy Thanksgiving weekend to fellow Americans. Yeah, man, hope you're having a good Thanksgiving weekend. It's nearing the end. But yeah, hope Thanksgiving was fun. You had a good meal and some nice time with family, because as I understand it, that's what it's all about, right? Hey, Gert Dylan in the chat, how you doing, Gert? Good to see you, welcome. Says, Martino says, I'm no celebrity at all, but if you want to react to my pulls from my latest competition, it would be fun. Yeah, sounds good, Martino, we'll make some time for that. If you're still around later in the stream, remind me again if I haven't done it already. But yeah, that's a really good idea. I'll quickly go over what I wanted to talk about today, right? I actually have a topic for today's live stream, which is, you know, kind of a novelty for Arm Historian live streams. Yeah, I wanted to talk a bit about bro science. You can call it pseudoscience, because a lot of it is pseudoscience, not everything, of course. But yeah, I kind of wanted to touch base with you guys on this topic, because I think it's kind of an important topic in our sport, in our still evolving sport. And I also think it's quite a divisive topic. You see a lot of high-level athletes not necessarily always promoting different quote-unquote bro science topics, but also just using it, without even mentioning it. Just a recent example that I saw popping up was, I remember a couple months ago, maybe half a year ago now, Georgi Svetkov had a match, right? I think it was him. Correct me if I'm wrong here, because I might be very wrong. But I believe he had a match at East versus West, where you could clearly see he had done cupping therapy. And I believe I've seen other arm wrestlers kind of touch on that a little bit. I've heard them kind of speak about it a little bit. So I think that's one that's pretty big in the arm wrestling world. Other than that, of course, you have stem cells. I'm not saying stem cells are pseudoscience at all. Of course, the use of stem cells in the medical world, I would not consider pseudoscience. There's some real research happening. And there's some real results happening too. Maybe not in the way that it's presented in the arm wrestling world by people who may or may not be sponsored by stem cell clinics. So there is a important distinction to be made there, and there is a topic to be talked about there, I think. But in general, I wouldn't necessarily classify stem cell treatments in the same level as I would something like cupping therapy, for example, if that makes sense. Martino says, I think I'll stay for about 30 minutes or so. Yeah, that should do it, Martino. If you can't catch it, you can always catch the VOD. Feel free to send me a link to some of the matches on Instagram or wherever. I'll probably check your YouTube channel for it. School Lady Boy, how you doing, man? Welcome. Gert always rearranging his house. Martino says we already spoke about it, and my opinion on the topic. Yeah, cupping therapy, lol. I was writing it, and you mention it. Yeah, there you go. I know Martino and I, we have talked about some of it, and some other topics outside of the live stream, just in private. And I know we kind of see eye to eye here on most of these topics. But I'm sure there's a lot of people who don't, right? And instead of just dismissing your opinion on it, I'm really open to talk about it, right? As long as we can kind of stay in the realm of logic a little bit, you know what I mean? Maybe empirical evidence would be nice. Tomer says, hello, sorry I couldn't make it last week. I think I was on a long streak. No worries, Tomer. Totally fine, man. I see you in here all the time. Yeah, your support for my channel means the most, and it's very obvious to me. So yeah, I appreciate it. Even if you miss a live stream, that's totally fine, man. White Wolf says, Arm Historian, did you see any of the PAA British and Irish nationals yesterday and today? No, not yet. I know they've been going on, and I will definitely catch up on them. White Wolf, did you catch some of them? Is there like a match that's a standout to you so far? Muscle Bike, a member for 20 months already is fucking crazy, right? Because where does the time go, Arm Historian? Nearly at 10k subs. Yeah, that's another topic that I kind of want to broach. I want to get to 10k subs by the end of the year. It's kind of a goal I've set for myself. Now I know it might be a relatively unrealistic goal, but that is something I want to go for. I want to try. I'm trying to upload about once a week now instead of the once, maybe twice a month I did it before. So yeah, I am ramping up my uploads. Some videos have been performing better than others. Some are really low in views still. But I can kind of, use the excuse of Thanksgiving happening and stuff, right? There's ups and downs. Either way. Muscle Bike coming in with the 5 gifted memberships. Muscle Bike, no need for that, man. I greatly appreciate you and everything that you do for the channel already. Like, you're one of the biggest supporters that I have, if not the biggest. So yeah, you really didn't have to do that, but I greatly appreciate it. If you've got a gifted membership from Musclebike, make sure to thank him. I see there's a couple of lurkers in there that have been gifted memberships, and even a celebrity or two, an arm wrestling celebrity or two that have been gifted some memberships. So everyone, welcome. Greatly appreciated, Musclebike. You never have to become a member of the channel. I always appreciate it. It's very motivating for me, but you never have to do it. I'll never start begging for memberships or donations or anything like that. This is mainly a live stream to kind of touch base with you guys, you know what I mean? But Musclebike, seriously, thank you for the very generous gifted subs. Dan John, welcome, now a member. Mark KDX Rider is a member. Raldoron, that's a nice name, has also become a member. And Reno Message is now a member. Official Arm Historian member Reno, friend of the channel for sure, has been very generous with his time so far. And just an awesome guy too, so very glad he got one. And of course, Jody Chocolate Thunder Williams, also kind of a known figure in the arm wrestling world, right? Has also been gifted a membership. Welcome, Jody. Really nice guy too. Talked to him behind the scenes a little, and yeah, awesome dude. So thank you, Musclebike, once again. Be sure to thank him if you've got a membership. Chuck says, the worst part is your best videos perform not so good. The Cobra and Yoshi are so nice to watch. I appreciate it, Chuck. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and sometimes I share that opinion. There's been some videos where I've been really proud of, like history of arm wrestling and stuff like that, that haven't performed so well views-wise, but that's just the way it goes, right? People like what people like, and I have to be okay with that. Otherwise, I shouldn't be doing YouTube, I guess. But yeah, it is interesting to me too. XAZ, what's up, man? Says, bro, science in arm wrestling, training forearms every day or other small muscles because they recover faster. That's another good point, right? I think there is a distinction to be made between using bro science in medical terms, like as far as medical applications go, like cupping therapy, acupuncture, stuff like that. And then also a distinction in bro science in way of training for arm wrestling, right? So there is an important distinction to be made there. Full disclosure, I do want to make a video on it. I'm in the very early stages of making a video on it right now. So yeah, I'm gonna use this live stream kind of to inform me on the arm wrestling public's opinion, right? And maybe you guys can name a couple more examples that you know of, maybe some arm wrestlers that have used some of these treatments before, and also an opportunity to kind of go over some of the treatments, right? Just take a very basic, superficial surface look at, okay, what do these treatments really entail, and how does that relate to sports in general, but more specifically arm wrestling, right? I think that makes sense. Martino says you can train forearms every day as long as you hit different forearm muscles such as flexors and pronators, etc. Yeah, that kind of makes sense to me, right? If you isolate the muscle groups to a certain degree, I'm sure you could do that. You could train more often, more frequently. Musclebike says my version of a lurker is refusing to flush the toilet for the next person. You should trademark that concept, that term. Levon Slayer, how you doing? What's up, man? Welcome. Chocolate Thunder is a great dude. Yeah, yeah, he's been really nice to me, and all around, like you say, great dude. Martino says arm historian is the epitome of quality over quantity. I appreciate that, Martino. That is what I was going for. Kertilon agrees there. Thank you, guys. Although I'd like to do both if possible, you know. like I said, I'd like to ramp up my upload schedule a little bit. Martino says, take it as a badge of honor. Your content is so good that it doesn't appeal to the majority. I don't know if you could classify it as good. I guess it depends on your definition of good content, right? If your definition of good content is appealing to as many people as possible, then my content is truly not good, right? Some of my content. Latrusso says, problem is you're not leeching off Devon's name, spamming useless videos daily. I hear what you're saying. It doesn't always help, you know? Like my latest video has Devon in the thumbnail, and it's not doing well. So yeah, I hear what you're saying, and there's definitely truth in that, right? White Wolf, member for 14 months now. Freaking crazy, man. Thank you for renewing your membership and sticking with me. White Wolf, another one of those people who is a great supporter of the channel and just an all-around awesome dude, even in real life. Levant Slayer says, Rice Bucket is definitely a bro science thing. Just because there's so many videos with crazy thumbnails about it, it's good for recovery, but not great for strength. Maybe a sand bucket or gravel bucket low. That's a good one, Levant Slayer, and one I hadn't thought about. So I'm gonna add that to a little list I have here. Kind of a preliminary research thing, right? I love your support of my channel, White Wolf, so thank you once again. Nikita says, one thing that helped me that I do not think is bro science is breaking up muscle knots. I had chunks in my forearm that caused a lot of pain. Aggressive, manually deep massaging made wonders. Yeah, that makes more sense to me, you know, Nikita? When you're talking about massaging certain muscle groups, you're exerting force directly to problem areas, right? While that doesn't mean it's going to help necessarily, it does mean it's probably going to have some measurable effect on those areas, right? So yeah, I'm more willing to accept something like that, offhand kind of, not fully, but to a certain degree, without needing a ton of evidence, right? While something like putting hot cups on your body, that requires a little more evidence to me personally. But yeah, I can definitely see that, and I'm going to add that to the list too, because other than maybe it being a good part of the video, it just sounds interesting in general. Something I would want to do some research on. So yeah, I'll look at that. Deep massage. Deep tissue massage or something like that. Gertillen says, YouTube algorithm put two big names together and reap the clicks. Don't mean your content is worthwhile though. Yeah, I get it. And to a certain degree that's true, Gert. Like I said, there have been videos of mine where I didn't include any name in the title or didn't put anyone famous in a thumbnail necessarily, and they still did well. So it's certainly possible to do it without. Yeah, I'm just assuming it's way more difficult, right? Tallpaul says, the Arm Historian voice alone should be getting the masses subbing to the channel. I appreciate you, Tallpaul. I've heard it a couple times, but as long as I don't hear that my voice is actively annoying to people, that's the most important thing, right? To me, at least, personally. Like, if my voice would be actively annoying to people and I would be getting constant comments about my voice being annoying, then probably I would look into maybe hiring someone to do voiceovers or something. Guys, I'm gonna, because there's a lot of chat messages, I'm gonna quickly go through the chat messages I had, and then I'm gonna start looking at some of those treatments we've been talking about, right? If I missed your message and you want to get it to me, feel free to drop it in the chat again, and I'll probably look at it later on. Pipeburger says, but sure, if bro science, but I think we all heard about torn bicep tendons getting attached to a more advantageous place for arm wrestling. Any opinions on that? I do have some opinions on that. And it is an interesting topic. I don't think it's necessarily related to the topic tonight, although it might be, right? I'll put it on the list just so I can look into, has there been any actual research to whether or not changing your insertions has any noticeable effect on arm mobility? Like, you would think that the answer would be yes, right? I would assume it would be yes, just of the way body mechanics work. But I think it's worthwhile looking into, right? Like, what are the actual measured effects already that people have seen? Yeah, I'm sorry if I mispronounce words there, Levon Slayer. Hey, Tall Paul, yeah, you've got a free... You're a member for 19 months now, thank you for that. You've got a free super chat comment, couple of free ones every month, I think. That's fine, Levon Slayer, feel free to correct my pronunciations. I'm totally fine with that. If you would ever talk my native tongue, I'd be the first one to correct you too, so no worries there. What's up, Jody? Tomer says, I don't think it's a surprise that your most viewed videos are about Devon Michael and the big Western names in the sport. Yeah, to a degree that's true. Siplenkov has done really well. There are a couple of other examples like genetic abnormalities in arm wrestling and stuff like that that have done pretty well, even though they don't necessarily feature big names in the sport or in the Western part of the sport, right? I haven't, Martino, I haven't. But I know who he is. I've seen him pull and I've been at the same tournaments as Eric. Great puller, very strong. You've become a member, Jody. So there you go. Thanks to Muscle Bike. Atlantis says, I watched the latest video but didn't comment just because I was out and about. I'm with you that as long as it's fully disclosed beforehand, it's for entertainment like WWE. Yeah, all good, Atlantis. Thank you for watching either way. It should be fraud, right? Maybe? Would make sense that it would be fraud. Martino says, another of my controversial opinion is that training things like cupping below 10 reps is kinda useless since you can get the same strength gains while staying healthier in the 10 to 15 range. Yeah, that is probably a controversial opinion in the arm wrestling world. Hey Verbeer, what's up? What's up? Murgok says, arm historian and AI chatbot prove me wrong. Does not compute. Xay says, Martino, I think you can do that with any muscle, but it takes a little bit more time to recover from moderate loads to failure than heavy load to failure. So you need to consider that when programming. Yeah. True, programming is an important part for sure. Some might even say the most important part, apart from the training itself. Steroids are the devil, says Mike Aiello. Video, please. It's funny you mentioned Mike Aiello. Steroids are the devil. I don't know if you've watched my last video, but Mike Aiello does feature in there, although maybe not to the degree that you would like. So yeah, I'll note that steroids are the devil to make a Mike Aiello video in the future. Yeah, PubMed for sure, Tomer. I'm well aware of PubMed. Have to make use of it. I also have some local science resources. I'm no longer affiliated with any university, so my personal access has been limited over the last couple of years. But yeah, I still have close friends who work for the university and stuff like that, so I have no issues getting my hands on some good medical journals and other stuff. Some good papers to look at. Murgok says, Engin's eyebrows on the juice. Okay, and with that, I think it's time that we take a closer look at some of the things I'm talking about, right? Bro science in arm wrestling. We've touched on it earlier in the live stream here. And I think this is one that quite a few people have been doing lately. Let me quickly get rid of the chat highlight here, if I can. There you go. So yeah, cupping therapy. I'm using the Wikipedia article here, which, as many will probably point out or think, is not the greatest resource to base any opinion on, and that's true. That's certainly true to a degree, although I do have to say Wikipedia is sourced. You can look at the sources for yourself, and we might do some of that, but I don't think it quite falls under the scope of this live stream, right? So for the purposes of this live stream, let's take a look at how Wikipedia describes cupping therapy. So just to preface this really quickly, I have seen some arm wrestlers that have used cupping therapy. I think I've even seen a video of someone using it before, an arm wrestler, a pretty famous one. And I do think some arm wrestlers are actively using this, and what in my opinion is treatments that are very close to something like this. So yeah, cupping therapy is a form of pseudoscience, this is what Wikipedia says, in which a local suction is created on the skin with the application of heated cups. As alternative medicine, it is practiced primarily in Asia, but also in Eastern Europe, the Middle East and Latin America. The practice of cupping has been characterized as quackery. Now, for those that don't know, quackery of course refers to medical practices that are, quackery, often synonymous with health fraud, is the promotion of fraudulent or ignorant medical practices. So I think quackery specifically refers to people who know that what they're doing has no real roots, right, in science. And I would definitely classify cupping therapy as part of that. Cupping practitioners attempt to use cupping therapy for a wide array of medical conditions, including fevers, chronic low back pain, poor appetite, indigestion, high blood pressure, acne, and so on and so on. A whole bunch of things, basically. Anything you can think of, it seems. Despite the numerous ailments for which practitioners claim cupping therapy is useful, there is insufficient evidence demonstrating it has any health benefits. There are some risks of harm, especially from wet cupping and fire cupping. There is a distinction there. I've seen this before. Fire cupping, I believe they actually like heat it up to a crazy degree, or like put a flame to the cup on the outside, stuff like that. I've seen all kinds of things. Bruising and skin discoloration are among the adverse effects of cupping and are sometimes mistaken for child abuse. I don't know why they put that in there, but that's what it says. In rare instances, the presence of these marks on children has led to legal action against parents who had their children receive cupping therapy. Interesting. Okay. So yeah, that is the main visual indicator, right, of this kind of therapy, cupping therapy. Like these big red, I don't know if they're including a picture here of like, here is someone receiving fire cupping as a therapy. Pretty wild stuff. Here are some marks after someone's been cupped and in the process of being cupped. Here are some other marks, pretty gruesome looking. I'll only show that for a little bit. So yeah, it's a thing that goes back for a long time, several hundred years possibly, and is being actively used in the arm wrestling world, believe it or not, with people actually advocating for its use. I wouldn't say actively because it's not something as widespread as the use of stem cells, but yeah, Chuck mentions here Georgie is using cupping often. Yeah, I mentioned it earlier in the stream. Mr. Tsvetkov for sure has used cupping in the past. I'm gonna try and pull up like the East versus West video where you can clearly see he has cupping marks on his arm. I'll try to find it. If anyone else can find it before me, feel free to send it to me. I definitely want to take a look at that one. White Wolf says Engin's eyebrows and new toupee use cupping therapy. Interesting. I'll ask him about it. Georgi Tsvetkov has cupping scars, indeed. Reality is always changing, says Levan. Yes. To a degree, I can agree there. Levan, Slayer. What is real is definitely changing. All I'm proposing is we should base that change on actually measurable things, right? Tomer says, I think cupping therapy is more of a thing of, I don't know if it works, but I'm scared it does and I don't want my opponents to have an advantage type of thing. Yeah, to me that isn't a good reason for using something, let alone advocating for its use to other people. Now, I'm not saying people shouldn't use these therapies, right? These form of treatments. People are free to use whatever they want on their own body. I really don't care. So yeah, they are free to use it, but to profess its efficacy is another level, right? Especially when your viewership numbers are quite large. You can potentially influence a lot of people into just flat out accepting the efficacy of these kinds of treatments, right? So I think that's where a potential problem kind of creeps in, from my perspective. Nikita says, what if you put the cup on your elbow, forcing blood to go in it? Also, what about Brian Shaw, cut off blood flow training? I haven't done either personally. Now, okay, so you say, what if you put the cup on your elbow, forcing blood to go in it? I don't know if that makes sense to me, because you're pulling blood to the surface level, right, of your skin. You're not... There's no more blood passing through your muscles because you put a cup there, right? Is my understanding. I don't know about cut-off blood flow training, but that seems pretty terrible. I'll add that to the list to look into after the stream. Chuck says, blood flow restriction training has some research backing it up, as much as I know, but it has very specific use. Interesting, okay. So yeah, I'll definitely look into that, right? That's an interesting topic. Is cupping good to increase cupping strength? Who knows? They used to call these hickeys. Some serious hickeys there, White Wolf. Chuck says the number one argument against cupping is if you get cupped, your chance of winning a match highly decreases. Yeah. Martino says he has a video with David Arabuli doing it. David does it for work. Interesting, okay. That's very good to know, Martino. Let's see if I can find it, right? Let's see if I can find it. Jeez. Typing just cupping therapy as part of my search term on YouTube, and a lot of videos showing people getting totally cupped out. Tomer says, yeah, I do think cupping therapy is a lot of BS. We should do things based on science, not superstition. I'm with you there. Scientific evaluation of cupping therapy. Let's read on a little bit, right? Maybe we can glean a little more about how this article came to the conclusion that cupping is a part of pseudoscience. So, the American Cancer Society notes that available scientific evidence does not support claims that cupping has any health benefits, and also that the treatment carries a small risk of burns. A review of literature in 2011 determined that the effectiveness of cupping is currently not well documented for most conditions, and that systematic reviews showing efficacy for the treatment of pain were based mostly on poor quality primary studies. You hear that a lot, right? When you're evaluating something like pain in a controlled environment, it's a very difficult thing to measure, right? Because it's always going to be the person that's being tested is always going to give an evaluation of pain that's purely based on subjectiveness, right? There's really no other way of doing it. Maybe measuring some brain frequencies or stuff like that. I'm not completely sure, but I do think mostly when you're dealing with seeing if pain reduces or increases, you're always dealing with very subjectively based values that people give you. So yeah, that doesn't really show you if it's just working on a kind of a placebo basis, or if there's some actual merit to it actually alleviating pain, much like a painkiller would do, right? Martino says, med student here. Joints don't have any blood flow into it. Any form of trying to help circulation is useless. That also makes a lot of sense. I think some people will say they're talking more about helping with muscle issues there. But yeah, that does make a lot of sense. Another reason why using cupping to increase blood flow somehow into your joints won't really help you, right? So yeah, that definitely makes sense to me, Martino. Yeah, I couldn't quite find the Georgi Tsvetkov cupping video, I think. Because if I type Georgi Tsvetkov cupping, I get a bunch of videos of Georgi Tsvetkov cupping in an arm wrestling sense on the table. But if I type in Georgi Tsvetkov cupping therapy, I get a bunch of videos that are not Georgi Tsvetkov of cupping therapy. So yeah, if anyone has that link, feel free to send it to me if you can. Atlantis says, did I win a free membership? Yeah, thanks to... It might have been thanks to Muscle Bike, although I'm not quite sure. I don't think you were in that list, Atlantis. But you are a member. White Wolf says, Arm Historian, what about infrared light therapy? Top vets use this on thoroughbred racehorses for healing and recovery. Interesting. I'll add that to the list, White Wolf. Thanks for that. Yeah, I have heard of, like, I do think there is some merit to heat therapy of some sorts, right? So there might be something in there, but infrared light therapy, I'm not 100% on, so definitely something nice to look into. Martino says, search for Levant's wrist is getting stronger. David Arabuli sport massage. Okay, okay. Interesting. Yeah, I found it. It is on a... I don't want to get copyright strike by Levant, but I will pull it up for you guys, right? I'm not gonna play the video. I'll show you some stills of it. Because I don't want Levant to strike my channel. There he is in all his glory. Look at that back. Is that a beautiful thing to behold? Could draw an entire world map on that back. Martino says, search for Levant's... Oh yeah, I already read that one. Atlantis says, one thing about cupping, I could see it maybe working for acne to pull the stuff out of your skin. Like for bad back acne and stuff. Yeah, that's interesting. But I would think there's better treatments for that, right? Because pulling it out of your skin would leave you with a lot of scarring. So I do think there's better treatments for acne than cupping, or I would at least imagine, right? Musclebike says at Arm Gods we are pro alcohol therapy. Yeah, I noticed. We even put on inflatable bars. Very lucky that it was there. Tomer says, Arm Historian, I believe the scars are visible on his match with Morozov. I'm about 60% sure. Thanks for that, Tomer. I'll pull that up in a little bit here. Now that is one therapy I can get behind, yeah. Alcohol therapy does help. Yeah, I agree. Renaissance Periodization and Jeff Nippert, two good sources. I definitely recommend, if you want to look into these things, like, I think a good way is if you're convinced about a treatment working already, and you're convinced that it's 100% legit, because you keep reading stuff about how it's legit and keep hearing people talking about how they've used it and it really helps them. Just try, as an exercise in critical thinking, just try putting it in Google, and not just putting the therapy in Google or the name of the treatment, but try to look for opposing opinions. In general, just try to do that with stuff like that, I think that helps. Just try to look for people who don't think it works and try to look at their opinions and their arguments kind of separately, right? Try to evaluate them based on their own merit and not with the presupposition of, I already think this works. And probably there's a whole new world of people you'll find who have differing opinions and might have something to add of value, right, to your own. Thanks, Chuck. Awesome. I'll open Discord and pull up that video too. Verbeer says, does collagen powder really help for your tendons? That's another good one, Verbeer. I'll add it to the list. The list is growing very quickly, but that's another really good one, yeah. Okay, interesting, Tomer. Yeah, that's a good point, actually, Nikita. I haven't arm wrestled drunk a lot. I have, but not a lot. But I have arm wrestled under the influence of something quite a bit. Although never at a tournament, I think. Not a decent one, anyway. So yeah, let's see if... Does Levan actually get cupping done here, or is it just massaging? I think it's just massaging, but I do see some cupping implements, right? Like, check out on those shelves there. I do think those are cupping implements. Yeah, for sure. Look on the table, wait. Right here in the back there, that white table. Yeah, right here. Those are all cupping things. Very interesting. So yeah, I think cupping in the grand scope of things, it's not super harmful necessarily, right? It will give you bruising. In some bad cases, it might give you some scarring. Stuff like that. You can see Levan had it done here. Obviously. Yeah, here you go. The full cupping experience right here. Yeah. Very interesting. Clearly, Levan's channel is one with massive amount of reach. Now, I'm not sure if he's actually advocating for cupping therapy working, but in a way, he is, right, by getting this done on his channel in front of potentially millions of viewers. I do think there's something to be said about, should top athletes be promoting this stuff this way, right? Should they maybe add a little disclaimer saying cupping hasn't been proven to work in any kind of scientific setting for what we're using it here? Maybe. I think they maybe should, right? I'll check his description. Maybe he did put it in there, but I don't think so. A vacuum therapist, he calls it here. Interesting. I like that term. David Arabuli, the vacuum therapist. Chuck says, add dildo therapy to the list. People know dildo therapy is effective all over the board already, right? So I don't think we should even discuss it. The touching secret, the alcohol therapy. Beers help a lot, says Bear. Animal Flex. Nikita says, I have been drinking Animal Flex for the past 3 years every day since I found it through Coach Ray. There are so many good ingredients in it and many guys believe in it. Label review? Interesting. Animal Flex. What the hell is Animal Flex? Now you got me a little curious here. See if I can find something on Animal Flex. Animal Flex powder. Interesting. So it's like a compound for your bones? Hang on. Because I'm reading this in my native language. Animal Flex rebuilds and lubricates joints with glucosamine. Interesting. Joint health, healthy cartilage, vitamins and minerals, superior absorption. Okay. No thank you. I said no thank you to the ad, by the way, not to the entirety of Animal Flex. Interesting. Uses glucosamine and a bunch of other stuff to promote joint health. And it's also great tasting powder, right? If you want it to be. Interesting. Yeah, I'll look into it. I added it to the list. There's probably a bunch of stuff like this on the market, right? That isn't necessarily Animal Flex. So definitely a good one to look into. Murgog says, well, clearly Engin swears by hair transplant therapy helping in arm wrestling. I haven't seen Matt Maska reach #1 yet. Muscle Bike says, odorless garlic and cod liver oil is super handy for skeletal muscular system as well as skin, hair and nails. Decent complement to collagen subs. Interesting. They kind of look like glass dildos, the ones on the shelf. Yeah, I guess so. Only the ones on the shelf, right? Because if this is the kind of dildo you're using, wouldn't recommend a glass sex toy of any kind, to be honest. I think that's a bad idea. Chuck, okay, I'll add it to the list, fine. Jay says, nah, I disagree. Neither Israel or Nippert know much about physiology, which is sometimes necessary to understand and interpret studies correctly. That's why they are suggesting focusing on stretch and eccentric phase. Yeah, I get you that those guys don't necessarily go deep, right? But I do think they use some kind of empirical evidence for what they're saying, and I haven't seen them promote a lot of pseudoscience, which in my opinion gives you a leg up already. Because whether we want to face it or not, and I'm not only talking about arm wrestling, but I'll keep it in the scope of arm wrestling for the purposes of this live stream, there is a lot of pseudoscience going on in medical treatments that arm wrestlers use. And that might sound condescending, I hope it doesn't, because it isn't meant that way. I'm sure I believe in things that aren't supported to the degree that I want them to be by science. So I think it's a very human thing, but yeah, I do think it's something that's worth talking about. Dr. Arm Wrestling in the chat says, I have arm wrestled drunk and it makes me push through my limits because it numbs the pain. Yeah, I can see that, Dr. Arm Wrestling. I can definitely see that. I can also see you being more susceptible to arm breaks that way, although, you know, people always say best to be drunk when you take a nasty fall, right? Because your body just goes limp. So maybe that's yeah, that's how it works. Maybe you're less prone to arm breaks when you're drunk. Israel has a doctoral degree in sports physiology. There you go, name not needed. Muscle bikes is... I'm not saying you should... This is not muscle bike speaking, by the way. I'm not saying you should just listen to what any scientist tells you, like blindly, just go with like an argument from authority, right? You shouldn't do that, for sure. But just look, right? You know, if... Like, imagine if there's such an overwhelming consensus on something in the scientific world, a world that is built on disproving other people within that world. Imagine if there's such an overwhelming consensus, then either there'd have to be a conspiracy of like a tremendous degree of them trying to suppress the real truth, or maybe there's something to that truth, right? Maybe you should lean a little in the direction of, maybe this is something that I could possibly believe. Here Dylan says, and if you drink too much and throw up on your opponent, you can also throw him off, allowing you to go in for the kill. Now that's some good thinking. Now you're thinking tactically on the table. I don't know why, Martino. I don't really have any control over that, unfortunately. Yeah, I do agree with that statement, Tomer. It's not that hard to go look at the actual papers, right? And a lot of them aren't even hard to understand. It's not like you need some super deep knowledge of a ton of things. If you just take a look at the abstract and stuff, you can get it. That's strange, Martino. I do know YouTube tends to delete links. Like if people post links in the chat, I know YouTube tends to delete those. But just mentioning your channel shouldn't be an issue, right? I mention your channel all the time. That being said, guys, make sure to hit the like button. There's more people in here than we got likes on the video, so give it a quick thumbs up, and it'll get it to some more people, maybe, right? But yeah, interesting that Levan is doing this. I'll take a look at. I know Chuck sent me a video here. Take a quick look at that one. VOA is usually pretty chill about using their videos to illustrate a point quickly, so I don't think they'd mind if I play a little bit of it. Yeah, you do see some cupping marks here, right? On his arm. On his right arm, Georgie's right arm. So yeah, you can kind of see it. I'm assuming they speak on it too, right? Yeah, you can definitely see it. So yeah, it does seem to be something that is quite, I don't know, has burrowed its way into like the elite arm wrestlers, right? Very interesting. I think the biggest one today, the most relevant one, but it's also the most difficult one to do some actual research on, is stem cells. Don't get me wrong, there has been quite a bit of research on stem cells, but in the context that people are using it for short-term recovery, I think that's still a little dubious. Although I want to learn more, and I have to learn more on the topic before I actually give like a worthwhile opinion on it, you know. Sylvester says, I wonder if Engin's transplant will turn grey at the same rate as the rest of his head. Those are the real questions, right? The real deep science questions. Yeah, Martino. I'm gonna check it right now, man. Is it on your channel? let me open your channel and I'll check your is it tournament footage? Or what is it? Hey JetFox, thanks for subscribing, man. Appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so the 80 kilogram class and absolute my matches. Awesome. Yeah, I'll take a look at it. One moment here. Yeah, here we go. And let me lower the chat highlight a little bit. Yeah, Martino on the right here. And this is Muscle Chioggia, and I probably butchered that name, but that's the name of the tournament, I'm assuming. I'll start watching right away. One moment here. The cupping is more a cultural thing than an arm wrestling thing. Yeah, I get that, Chuck. I get that. I'm not saying like cupping is specific for arm wrestling. You're saying it's more that Eastern arm wrestlers do that, but I'm saying, I think in general, in arm wrestling, there's a lot of these kinds of treatments. In my opinion, it isn't contained to, like culturally, it isn't contained to the East, if that's what you're saying. In my opinion. I need cupping therapy. I should call her. Says Nikita. Okay, let's take a look. Martino on the right here. In what looks like a pretty big tournament, and oof, okay. Martino, of course, known for his press. But yeah, that's a good dragging one too, man. That's gotta be close to shoulder center line, right? Isn't it? From this angle it looks way over center, but yeah. I'll trust the ref's call on that. That definitely looks like shoulder over the center to me, my man. It is pronounced like Chioggia, but good enough, haha. It is the city where Frank lives. Chioggia. Okay, interesting. Yeah, you do see Frank Lamparelli there on the left side. Yeah, it might have been an angle because it looks like you're good here, although you're on the edge a lot, right? Murgok says a new study suggests that shaving your nuts increases back flexibility. Nice. I'll get on that right away. So yeah, we're reviewing Martino, who's currently in chat. We're reviewing tournament footage of him. If you ever have training footage of you pulling in any setting whatsoever, and you want me to review it on live stream, send it to me on Instagram, Discord, anywhere you can think of, send it to me, and I'll take a look at it on live stream. Yeah, I get you, Martino, and I'm not saying like you cheated or something, but from this angle, it's just from this angle it looks like it, right? But I think it's an angle thing to a degree. Like if you're pulling on this side, it looks like you're over there way more quickly, over the center line. And I do know that's one of the fouls that's like one of the least called fouls in my opinion in a lot of tournaments. But yeah, definitely showing good versatility here, man. Awesome. I'd love to pull with you. Not necessarily competitively, because I think I still outweigh you by a lot, but just some practice pulls. Sure, I could learn a lot. Autoplay, always nice. So yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of people treating stuff, right, with pseudoscientific medical things, I believe, in the arm wrestling world. Like I said, stem cells is probably one of the biggest ones and worth looking into most. But I think cupping therapy, like we looked at here, is a big one too, right? Fringe medicine and science, I just saw here camel urine. Interesting. Martino says, yeah, I got called on that only once. I also never been called on touching the hand with the shoulder, albeit it happened a couple of times. Yeah, no worries, man. Really awesome. Well done. You look really smooth and good on the table, man. You're improving every time I see you on the table, so. Sylvester says, is cocaine pseudoscientific? Are you... Yeah, I think I see what you're doing there. With how you're writing pseudo there. Limo Swine. How you doing, Limo Swine? I haven't seen you in chat today. Coming in to say goodnight to Martino. So yeah, I think it's an interesting topic. I think it's worth exploring. I've got a lot of good suggestions from you guys. I have stem cells, acupuncture, cupping therapy, a rice bucket, deep tissue massage I should look into, and like the blood restricted training I should look into, because that's the first time I'm really hearing about it. Infrared light therapy, I believe, from White Wolf is a very interesting one. I've got collagen powder here from Verber, I believe, asking me to look into it, so I'll definitely do that. And then the Animal Flex one, probably close to collagen powder, right? If I had to guess. It's probably some kind of substance that's close to that, combined with some vitamin powder and stuff. So yeah, interesting topic. I appreciate everyone for like kind of talking me through it a little bit. Kind of functioning as a soundboard for me. Really weird. We had like an instant drop off in viewership a couple minutes ago from like 30 to 12 for some reason. Very strange. I swear I'm not botting. If I would bot, I would put in a bunch more people. White Wolf coming in with the $20 super chat. Way too generous, White Wolf. Seriously, man. Says, arm historian, I saw horse trainers and vets using infrared light therapy for race horses. I frequently had separated ribs as a merchant marine. I bought an infrared light, recovered way faster. Horses that would have been put down were saved. Really interesting. All the best are still here. Yeah, that's very true. Really interesting. Yeah, I'll have to look into that. Maybe I can pull it up right now and see what kind of people are saying about it, right? Let's see. So this is from LED Technologies, which Incorporated, which I'm assuming is not an unbiased source to take a look at light therapy, infrared light therapy. But let's take a look at what they have to say, right? Because I'm assuming they're selling it, right? They're selling their product. But let's take a look. Many athletes are discovering the benefits of red light therapy and infrared light therapy. This non-invasive modality can soothe aching muscles, aid recovery from sports injuries, and improve general wellness. Light therapy involves directing specific wavelengths of light from an LED light source to a body part. The light penetrates the skin to jumpstart tissue recovery. With the help of over-the-counter red LED devices, users can address not only pain, but other conditions, all from the comfort of their own homes. Very interesting. Very interesting. Let's hang on. So let's take a look at another source right now, Healthline. I've used this one before, but let's take a look. So they're also talking about red light therapy, and I'm assuming they're including infrared light therapy. Okay, let's take a look. Red light therapy works by repetitively exposing your skin to low levels of red and near infrared light for a certain period of time. At low wavelengths, red light doesn't generate heat and penetrates the skin between 1 and 2 millimeters, according to 2013 research. This red light exposure may produce a positive biochemical effect in your cells that strengthens the mitochondria, which is where the cell's energy is created. Red light therapy may do this by increasing the transportation of electrons, oxygen consumption, and your levels of ATP. By increasing the energy of the mitochondria, cells may function more efficiently, as well as rejuvenate and repair themselves. So they used to use lasers, it seems, and they're now switching over to LEDs. They're also non-thermal, so you won't get burns. They won't cause any like damage to your skin, right? So it says here, increases blood flow, reduces inflammation, increases levels of collagen, and increase the production of fibroblasts. However, more research is needed to support these claims. Let me grab a quick drink of water here before I go on. So this article continues to say, according to a 2018 review of research, many studies suggest promising results for the use of RLT, but it's still controversial. Additional clinical research is needed to confirm its effectiveness. That said, studies from the past 20 years suggest, the keyword is here suggest, that RLT may help, and then a whole bunch of things that it may help with. So yeah, definitely really interesting and sounds very promising, right? As far as I can tell from this article and also this explanation here. Yeah, looks to be promising and there looks to be something to it, right? Many insurance companies don't cover RLT. That's usually a good indicator, right? Of something being like proven without a reasonable doubt to work, although not always, right? Because I know, and this might be somewhat controversial, but acupuncture was covered to a degree under our national health plan for a long time. I don't think it still is, but it was covered for a long time. So whether or not insurance companies cover it, it isn't necessarily a one-to-one correlation to like whether it works or not, right? But I do think it is an indication on how robust is the science that has been done on it already. An indication, you know. RLT is typically safe and painless, but there isn't a clear consensus among experts as to whether RLT is good for cancer treatments. Interesting. May help manage negative cancer treatment side effects. Okay, yeah. So I guess that kind of goes into reducing pain, right? There have been reports of burns, lesions, and blistering from using RLT units. Some people develop burns after using the device for 30 minutes, or after falling asleep with the unit in place, or due to broken wires or device corrosion. There's also a potential risk of eye damage. Although LEDs are safer on the eyes than traditional lasers, proper eye protection should be worn during red light treatment. So yeah, I think there's definitely something here, right? I'd have to look more into the specific studies to like see how big they were and how conclusive, but it definitely looks to me like there's something here, right? Something that would point to trying it out and researching it more, right? So yeah, that is very interesting and definitely one I should cover. Hey Gods of War, how you doing, man? Says, good evening, Arm Historian. Red light has been proven to reduce inflammation. Yeah, to a degree it seems like. It has been proven to do something, right? I did not, Murgok. I did not. What happened there? Okay, interesting. White Wolf. Marco C says, infrared light benefits don't sound very scientifically curated. Right, the first thing you think of when you think infrared light and red light treatment, it conjures up doubts, right? At least to me. And I might be overly skeptical on a lot of things, but to me, when I hear something like that, it conjures up doubts, right? But I'm sure there's many other things that on the surface seem very unlikely to do something, but then there might be something to them, right? Anyways, so I think instead of like offhandedly discarding it as it sounds initially very pseudoscience-y, let's actually look into it, right? And I think from what I'm reading here, there is something to it at least, and it's worth exploring more, right? Like I said, I'd have to look into what do the actual studies say, not just an amalgamation of this is kind of what they said, or these are some points we pulled out of some studies like this article is kind of doing, but actually look into the specific studies and see what they actually say, right? So yeah, I definitely hear you on that, but I do think there's something here. Hey, Hollywood Matt Connolly, how you doing? Another arm wrestling celebrity in the chat. What's up, Matt? Hope you're doing well. White Wolf says scientists are skeptical, but horse trainers and vets swear by infrared therapy. It's where practical rubber meets the road when you're dealing with million-dollar assets. Yeah, I hear you. To me, that's not really a reason to necessarily believe something or not, but I definitely hear you there. It can mean that there's definitely something there, right? So yeah, I'm really glad you brought it to my attention, because I don't think I would have ever thought of it on my own. Hey, Mr. Bacon, how you doing? Welcome. What's up, man? Mr. Bacon says, do you think Vitaly can beat Levon? No, not right now. I don't think so. But that's just because my basic stance on anyone asking, can person X beat Levon, is just no right now. It's gotten to the point where I'm just assuming Levon will win any match he goes into. And that way, I'm never disappointed when it inevitably goes down that way. And when it doesn't go down that way, on the off chance that Levon would lose to someone like Vitaly or Jerry or whoever, I can be pleasantly surprised, right? But I think to go into a Levon match where you're not assuming Levon will win is like folly to me. I don't know how you could get to that conclusion. I know there's wishful thinking, but yeah. Gods of War says infrared are very low frequency vibration waves, and that means they can cause the least damage while passing through objects, because they are the least energy packed, while ultraviolet really burns. Yeah, I hear you. And indeed, that's how wavelengths of colors work. For sure, that's also why we can't see infrared light. No, there's no conceit in Matt. For sure, in Matt Connolly. But yeah, he's a really nice guy. So yeah, I do think there's something here, possibly, but like I said, requires more research, just on a personal level for me, right? But definitely interesting to look into. Like I said, I think I'm making a video on this topic, and I think the thing that will kind of be the most difficult to research will be stem cells within the context of how arm wrestlers use it. The stem cell therapy is different than they are today, but stem cell therapy has been around for a really long time. I'm not talking hundreds of years, obviously, but it has been around for quite a long time. Let's take a look at what the Cleveland Clinic says about red light therapy. Is red light therapy effective? So this is from clevelandclinic.org, which I'm guessing is like a research/treatment facility, right? Something like that, I'm assuming. How did interest in red light therapy evolve? This might be interesting. NASA originally began experimenting with red light therapy on plant growth in space and then to help heal wounds in astronauts. Like many developments, other potential uses began to be investigated. In fact, red light therapy is already widely medically accepted in its use in photodynamic therapy. In this therapy, low-power red laser light is used to activize a photosynthesizer drug. The interaction creates a chemical reaction that destroys cells. It's used to treat some skin conditions, including skin cancer and psoriasis, acne and warts, and other types of cancer. That makes sense, right? I've definitely seen that being done to get rid of blemishes on the skin, or like they say here, acne or warts, using lasers, right? So that is a form of, in a certain sense, red light therapy, right? Now, red light therapy is being investigated or already in use for treating a wide array of health conditions. What's confusing and controversial is the effectiveness of the treatment for the purposes it's being promoted. So yeah, this is exactly the point that I'm trying to bring up in regards to stem cells. Like, I would never disregard any kind of stem cell treatment in the medical world or stem cell research offhand. I would never just throw it out because the research isn't robust enough, right? There is clearly something there, so I do think it requires more research. But you can take a look at how effective has it proven to be in the purposes it's being promoted for, right? And in the case of arm wrestling, it's very clearly being promoted as a way to enhance short-term recovery. And with short-term, I'm talking weeks to months to a year, right? Something like that. There's people who have used stem cells within the arm wrestling world. There's very recent examples of that, like Michael Todd, who have used stem cells to aid in the recovery of a certain injury that they got, right? In the short term. So I think we have to hone in on that and take a look at how effective is that in a sports setting. And for the purposes of my video, that is what I will, the aspect of stem cells I will be focusing on most. Tomer says, I found a link which takes me to a website where I can enlist myself to compete in the 2012 Russian A1 tournament. Gives a phone number to contact them. That's interesting. If people ever run across these interesting kind of links or old pages having to do with arm wrestling, send them to me. Like, even if it doesn't seem useful to you straight away, or not even that interesting, and you have like a second to spare, send them to me, please. Yeah, never might know when it might come in useful when I'm doing research. Oftentimes these old websites that are like buried under a bunch of newer search results is where the real good info can be found. Sylvester says, I think Matt needs a super match on the big stage. Hey, I'd love to pull Matt any day. Unfortunately, we're located on the other side of the world, so I don't think it'll happen really quickly. But yeah, I do agree. A super match with Matt on a big stage is warranted. Not necessarily with me. Yeah, that makes sense, Limo Swine. To me, that makes more sense. Sylvester says, I'm pretty sure the red light district is effective. Yeah. Let's take a look. How does red light therapy supposedly work? Red light therapy is thought to work by acting on the power plant in your body's cell, called mitochondria. With more energy, other cells can do... Yeah, we basically read this before, right? So it's used for improving wound healing, reducing stretch marks, reducing wrinkles, improving facial texture, a whole bunch of stuff, right? Improve scars, but this seems all surface level, skin level stuff, right? Is red light therapy effective? Most experts say that they don't know yet if red light therapy is effective for all its claimed uses. Most say that the studies published so far show some potential for certain conditions, but that more studies need to be conducted. Red light therapy is still an emerging treatment that's generating growing interest, but at this point in time, there's not enough evidence to support most uses. Hey Mike, thank you for subscribing, I appreciate it. Thank you. The gold standard of studies to determine if a product is effective is a randomized placebo-controlled trial, of course. This means that a certain number of people with the same range of characteristics get either the study treatment or a placebo for treatment of the same condition, of course. So yeah, basically what they're saying here is need more research, right? Kind of confirming what I said before. I think there's probably something here, but for the purposes of like muscle healing and stuff like that, I think you definitely need more research. It's what I'm seeing here, right? But yeah, that's a very good one, White Wolf, and thank you for sharing that with me. Definitely going to look into that a little more. By the way, I'm also working on, apart from this video, working on a really big video with the help of someone else, of another person. So yeah, expect that sometime, hopefully this month. Hopefully it won't take too long, but it'll be a really long video. And yeah, hope you guys would like that one. But something to look forward to a little bit, a little teaser. Because I've been uploading more frequently, but the videos aren't necessarily always as long as my previous ones. Hey ODN, how you doing, man? Bongo Bing Bong, everyone, and Ready Fang. Yes, Bongo Bing Bong to you, ODN. Welcome, welcome. Probably won't be staying online for too much longer. Let me quickly check if Neil Pickup is going live with the fix soon. Hollywood Matt Connolly says, have you looked at PRP? Platelet-rich plasma. I have not, but I'll add it to the list and take a look. Hollywood Matt Connolly. PRP. Yeah, if anyone else knows of any maybe somewhat dubious bro science-y kind of treatments, or just any treatments that arm wrestlers might use in their recovery or whenever, hit me up, send me it. If it's interesting, I'll include it in the video if there's something there. Tomer says, just because there isn't research doesn't mean it's wrong. If you went back 1,000 years ago, there wouldn't be any research, but it would still work. If you throw enough darts, one of them is going to hit. Yep, for sure. Like I said, I would never throw something out just because there isn't any research supporting it, right? I would never say this for sure doesn't work, this is bullshit. this is for sure, the efficacy of this is non-existent, right? I wouldn't say that. But what you can say about it is that if you are promoting it as something that does work, even though there hasn't been done enough research to it, that is a pseudoscientific claim. Doesn't mean it's wrong, but that is a pseudoscientific claim, right? I think we can agree on that. White Wolf says you want to get strong, horse steroids. You want to get fast, horse steroids. You want to get a longer cock, horse steroids. I was looking for a different word, but that's what it is, right? You want to keep horse alive, infrared therapy. That does mean. You should work for the horse market, the horse advertising market there, White Wolf, or for the infrared advertising market. DL says, yo, what bro science we talking about? You know, I'm something of a bro myself. I know, bro. Yeah, we've talked about different kinds, right, of bro science. We've talked about cupping therapy right here. We've seen Levon getting cupping therapy right here. We've talked about animal flex. I'm not saying this is bro science necessarily, right? Just some things we've talked about. We've talked about red light therapy in this live stream. We touched a little bit on stem cells. Yeah, we've touched on a lot of things. Very surface level. I'm not saying all these things are bro science, quote unquote, because at the end of the day, bro science can be real science. It can be. Yeah, the vets don't wait for research, especially when a multi-million-dollar racehorse just went down. Yeah. I hear you definitely, White Wolf. And, you know, I can never fault someone for just trying something out, right? Yeah, it just gets to a point, I can only fault them when they're proclaiming this works 100% and you should use it too or try it too. And here's the company I'm using. You know, that's when it gets kind of iffy to me. Is Matt Mask on horse steroids or human steroids? Porque no los dos, right? Maybe he's on both. 9 out of 10 crypto bros recommend. Yeah, if I ever start telling my own crypto shitcoin, please stop supporting me. Tomer says ice baths as well is bro science. I believe that actually hinders muscle recovery, just reduces inflammation, thus removing the soreness. Yeah, I heard something similar with the whole, what's his name, Wim Hof or something, who is basically one big con artist, the dude. If you look into his life, strap in, because you're gonna find a lot of iffy stuff there. But yeah, I'll put it on the list. Definitely something I'll look into a little bit. Armcoin, let's go, yeah. Buy my Armcoin, guys, it's going to the moon. Gonna make a ton of money that way. Yeah, let me quickly check if Neil is going live with the fix. Wanted to do it before, but I kind of forgot about it. It doesn't look like it's... Oh yeah, he's going live in a couple of minutes. Awesome. Good to see that he's back on the horse fully. Yeah, I do love Armcoin too, actually. Arm Gods offering an infrared light therapy. Maybe they should, right? But yeah, definitely, it's definitely an interesting phenomenon that a lot of, and I think we can kind of cap off the stream that way. I think it's interesting, in the purest sense of the word, that a lot of top-level arm wrestlers are kind of, not always actively, but they're kind of advocating for some of these things, right? And it makes me wonder, what is the motivation? I'm sure that in a lot of cases, their motivation is genuinely trying to help people with recommending treatments or showing them treatments that have worked for them, right? I'm sure that is the motivation for a lot of them. But I do have to wonder, are there other things at play? I know some treatment facilities that offer these kinds of treatments, have been known to sponsor arm wrestlers or even arm wrestling promotions, right? So I think it's important when kind of trying to evaluate what is real and what isn't as an arm wrestling viewer. And the same goes to a certain degree for training methods. But I think especially for these kinds of things, I think it's important to basically do your own research on these things. Don't, because I'm not saying this is the case, right? But take for as an example of Van here. He's used cupping. If he would say cupping works for me, I'm sure a lot of people would just accept that. And you don't know if Levan is sponsored by Big Cupping, you know what I mean? I'm sure he isn't, and I'm just using Levan as like an example. You can replace him with any athlete you want. But I'm sure a lot of them, there's more at play too, behind the scenes. So just as a viewer, take that into account. There might be more here than meets the eye. When an athlete is telling you, use this treatment, this worked for me, it's awesome, it's the next big thing, it's the next big thing. Take it with a grain of salt at first. Use it as a jumping off point to maybe do some more research yourself. Take a look at the scientific consensus, let that kind of inform your opinion a little bit maybe. I'm not saying just blindly follow scientific consensus, but just take a look at a little more sources than the people that are on a surface level recommending it to you. And I think at the end of the day, the sport as a whole will be better for it. I think the more skeptical people can approach these kinds of things, the better we'll all be in the end, and the faster our sport can actually grow, you know what I mean? The faster we can actually get to a level where we actually know what works best for arm wrestlers. What kind of treatments actually work the best for arm wrestlers. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say on that in the context of this live stream. I appreciate everyone for joining this discussion. It's been really interesting. I've learned a bunch of new stuff. I've added a bunch of stuff to the list that I want to include in a future video I'm making on this topic. So yeah, basically that's what it comes down to, right? This live stream. Thank you for your generous donations this live stream. I greatly appreciate it. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me like every Sunday. Yeah, and I'll be back next week, of course, on Sunday. I might go live during the week, but you never know for sure. Until then, go to Neil Pickup, go to The Fix. I think they're going live right now. Tell them the Arm Historian sent you. Maybe we'll get a little shout out in there. That would be nice. And other than that, see you next week, same time, same place. Yeah, you know the drill by now. Arm Historian out. Bye-bye, guys.